I have a hard time in general with the whole concept of bravado and going out there and being a salesperson and like that whole, and it's very much, I think, intertwined with American business culture. And just because I didn't grow up in this country, and things where I'm from in Germany are very more subdued. They're not as loud. There's not as obnoxious. There's not as much fake it till you make it kind of stuff. Like,
Oh my gosh,
to
wait,
a
pause.
fault.
Okay, you just said, so I'm just going to point this out because I know you fake it till you make it, obnoxious. So this is
Oh, it's
important.
very judgmental. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, yeah.
they're
Like,
not judgment free here.
not.
Welcome to Citizen Rebel, the podcast for founders, small business owners, and bold influencers who refuse to stay silent.
These are the stories of entrepreneurs and creators risking everything to speak up, to stand out, and to stand for something.
And for those of us feeling unsure of how to react or what to say and do, this is a place where we can figure it out together.
This is Citizen Rebel, stories of brands taking a stand. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Citizen Rebel. I'm Alaina Shear.
And I'm Chris Vogel.
And we are here today to talk about the differences in life perspectives between Chris and I and how that affects how we each create content and share our stories into the world. Because we are such different people, and we believe that you are too. Every one of you has a completely different perspective on what it's like to hit publish on content, to tell your story, to find your voice, to take a stand, or simply to grow your business. And there's a lot of tension there that we want to unpack.
Yeah, and there's a lot to learn too. Dealing with people that are so different, it's just, a huge growth experience because you just see things so differently. It's just, if you surround yourself by people that are all thinking the same thing, you plateau. But I just in the last half a year of you and I working on this stuff together, and man, it's been, I can feel the pain in my bones from all the growth.
Okay. So you're going to have to explain that to everybody because, I would just want to be clear when Chris says that working with me is a painful experience, he means it in a good way, I think.
Yeah, like the way a German would say it, like
He still did not
sweet
sound
suffering.
convincing. So you mean it in a good way, though, in a good German way.
Yes. No, it's the idea of being confronted with things that aren't comfortable and, trying to be okay with that. And, I've experienced a lot of discomfort in the last couple months, but it's like something that needed to happen. And I think that's one of the things that, like, I've been self-employed for, 1.5 decades, for 10 years, just all by myself doing the same thing. So I had plateaued for sure, and, not really pushed myself and haven't really grown as a result, I think.
Well, and so grown your business maybe, or do you mean just grown as an individual, just in general?
To me, those two things are very interwoven just because I'm a designer and I've always been a designer. Like, it's just part of my identity, something I've always done. So it's, and because I do that for a living and I have done it independently, seeing it like a business and the business and the personal aren't very well separated, right? They're very intertwined.
It's true.
So to me, it's like, and that's a big struggle for me, I think, in general, and for businesses or solopreneurs out there that are just kind of doing their own thing. It's hard to put the business hat on. It's hard to pretend you're a company all of a sudden when it's just, you're doing the work.
Yeah. So Chris's business, just for those listening, your business has been based on referrals because your work is so utterly incredible. I mean, it's just, you're so talented. You work with people, they love working with you. You get referrals. But the plateau you mentioned, and this happens with other businesses that we consult with, you get to that point where you have been living off of referrals for 10, 15 years even, but you're ready to grow. Maybe you want a different lifestyle, like you want bigger clients or fewer clients who pay more, whatever you're transitioning to.
Right.
All of a sudden, you can't just depend on referrals. And as we become older and wiser, of course, we realize, well, hey, if I turn on my bat signal to attract that dream client or dream customer who I need to pivot my business, I have to do X, Y, and Z. So, and I'm a specialist in the bat signal. Chris is a
Right.
specialist in designing the bat signal, if
Right. And
that
it's
makes
it's
sense.
weird because like you'd think that that would all be very obvious, the idea of
Yeah.
marketing yourself and putting out the bat signal. And from my perspective, I just come from I think it's a huge point of privilege, right? That I haven't really needed to go and do the bat signal thing yet. And that's, I think, why one of the reasons I struggle with a bat signal. I love that analogy, by the way. I think that's super helpful because
That
it
is, yeah,
makes it
thanks.
more tangible. But
I
yeah,
just thought of that. Yeah, that is a good
it's
one.
good.
And if you, let's say you're, let's talk about individuals for a second. So let's say you have worked in corporate for, a while, or your career, your whole career, or yeah, let's say you're in your late 30s or 40s and you're suddenly realizing, well, I'm an executive, or I would like to be an executive, and you haven't sold yourself. You don't talk about yourself. So a lot of us will go into that job and we turn off our bat signal. We don't update our LinkedIn. We disappear, and suddenly our identity becomes the company that we work for. And then
Mm,
what happens when you want out or you are pushed out? And then suddenly you have not been telling your story, and your network sees you as whatever your job description was at company X. So
hmm
to those of you who are, how do I sell myself? It feels so weird. It sounds so weird. We're here to talk about that as well. Put that hat on. And then for those of you who have been listening to the show and you're like, okay, I want to make a stand. On our website, goodasnow.com, you can see our proclamation that we published at the beginning of the year, saying that we are not for everyone. We don't want to work with fascists, people who are sexist, or people who hate the planet or believe that like climate change isn't real,
Basically,
So,
anybody who's acting like a dick. Just kind of, isn't there
yeah,
an HR manual that says that? It's like just common sense, but I guess it has
yeah.
to be spelled out these days. So yeah.
And and we are very open people. Chris and I, we're not. It's just the way that you read that. It doesn't say it doesn't even mention a political party. It doesn't mention a political leader. Those are basic values Chris and I hold. Now, I was on a new business call this week and they said, "Hey, we love your proclamation statement and we're with you." And I'm like, "Sweet," because otherwise I wouldn't want to work with you. Ha ha ha. But no, seriously, I wouldn't. So Chris and I get to choose our clients right now. But if you have, we're in a place where we only need, we don't have piles of employees. You guys are everyone's in different situations where making a statement like that could feel very risky. But this whole show is here to show you that even if you have 100 employees and you make a values statement, you will win in this environment. We believe that down to our core as professional marketers and brand artists. But standing up for what you value is part of any brand exercise. And right now, we need you all to do that. So, all those hats are on. Now, Chris, let's talk about um, the pain that you mentioned, the needed pain of going through. How do we tell your story? Because we are at this point where it's you're at the top of your career. It's time to use your voice to bring in some new business. um, what scares you when you think about publishing a post? What is holding you back? If that's a good place to start, unless you want to
Yeah, it
start somewhere
is. It
else.
is. It's great. I think it's I think in general I'm a little bit overwhelmed with the massive communication in general. I don't know if it's just an overstimulation or what it is, but it's just I'm having a generally hard time responding to emails and text messages and Slack messages and Google Chat messages, and and then so me not being used to LinkedIn and going into that, and if you're not used to it, you look at just the UX experience itself is just like everything's yelling at you. Everything's just like in your
Yeah.
face and everybody's posting. It's, the way I would liken it to is almost as if like, um, I want to like there's a rushing river and I'm just trying to like get across and it just like it would just pull me away. It just feels completely overwhelming. I think that's part of it. It's it, and that, and I think it's the fear of being further overwhelmed. So if I post something and there are people on there I really want to connect with, like, my whole network, my entire career is on there just because, been working with clients and agencies in different capacities. And I know they really want to hear from me.
They
I'm
do, because you're awesome.
intellectually like aware of that. And I do have some stuff that I could share, but it's just like, I think it's already like, I think I'm gonna like let them down because I'm not gonna respond quick enough, or I'm just gonna be overstretched. So that, I think that is like one of the main concerns for me.
That's a lot of stuff bouncing around in your head.
Yeah,
I can see why when you open it, you're like, "Whoa, no." I mean, that's
that's
a
literally my response. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Okay, Elena asked
mm,
me to like this post, or I'll do that. I write a comment here, and then all this other stuff's like a tractor beam trying to pull me in, and I'm like, nope, close a tab. See ya.
yeah. Yeah. And so there's that level. Let's unpack that. But the second level I've heard from you is the icky factor of
Yeah,
self-promotion.
right.
So let's
There
talk,
is that.
set that
So
up for
that
me.
is so, and I think in general, again, this is multi-layered, but I get this feeling of cringe in a sense about self-promotion. I have a hard time in general with the whole concept of bravado and going out there and being a salesperson, and like that whole, and it's very much, I think, intertwined with American business culture. And just because I didn't grow up in this country, and things where I'm from in Germany are very more subdued. They're not as loud. There's not as obnoxious. There's not as much fake it till you make it kind of stuff. Like,
Oh my gosh,
to
wait,
a
pause.
fault.
Okay. You just said, so I'm just going to point this out because I know you fake it till you make it, obnoxious. So this is
Oh, it's very
important.
judgmental. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
they're
Like,
not judgment free here.
not. So, okay. So let me make sure I'm taking stock correct. So you also don't consume the content in the medium, the channel in which we're talking about you creating it. In this case, it's LinkedIn. You don't consume the content. You don't
Correct.
you don't sit and like enjoy it or read it or read people's posts.
No,
So
no,
your algorithm is probably full of really
just
of,
garbage.
of garbage, right?
Yeah,
Okay. All
just
right.
spam, and the part of it is also there is this huge amount of just
It's
like,
true.
and I might just not be wielding it correctly, right? And that is probably very
Mhm.
much the case. And
Is
like,
is
remember walking through your course, and there's all of these things to check and uncheck and do, and levers and pulleys and whatnot, and yeah, so that kind of goes back to the overwhelm point.
yeah. And the course is just to point out, is it simplifies the post creation content outside of LinkedIn for people. The levies and pulleys you're talking about are the algorithm tricks, I think,
Yeah, or like
not the
a
content
lot of the,
compass.
but a lot of the optimizing your network and optimizing,
Mm,
some of the items that for
it,
tweaking and adjusting your feed, and a lot
right.
of that
Okay.
stuff.
I just wanted to make sure. The content compass and the find your voice is meant to make things really simple, but you're talking about LinkedIn itself and
I'm
all
talking
the
about LinkedIn
tricks.
itself, yeah.
Okay,
And
cool.
I mean, the thing also is to understand. Elena keeps talking about the content compass, and from the course, which is the cohort, which is excellent. And it really helps funnel you. It's just like, that's really for people that are like in the mindset of, I'm ready to go, let's go.
Right. And you can use that across any platform if you're working on a TED Talk or a book or whatever, that compass. We find your truth. It's so cool. So it's
Yeah,
all in there. Anyway, we just put words to it, which is incredibly empowering for people and changes their, career, as it turns out, as we're seeing from the graduates. But
that's
okay,
true.
Chris, so back to, let me ask you this then. And I know I'm kind of trying to diagnose this and then we'll unpack all of it. Where do you enjoy consuming content of any kind?
Oh, YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I
So
watch a
you so
lot of
you turn on the YouTube?
psychology channels that comment on reality TV, which is quite
Oh,
fun.
so fun.
Yeah.
Those
Book
exist?
trimming, it's a big one.
I'd love to watch some of those. I love, watching, the Housewives show just for the entertainment of the clear,
Well, this one is really
stuff
interesting
going on.
because they've like unpacked as a starting point like personality disorders or other types of issues that people have psychologically as they kind of act it out in reality TV, which is quite interesting. But
Okay,
yeah,
so
very bizarre.
YouTube. So you're watching YouTube anywhere else that you might go to consume content?
Not really.
What about offline? Do you watch, TV? Do you go to movies?
Yeah, yeah, like HBO or Discovery or
Okay, and
Netflix.
you're not on Reddit or Substack or
Nope.
anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Okay, okay. So you're an extreme, I'd say.
Probably, yeah.
Um, and a lot of people are like you, but you listen to podcasts.
I do like yes, I do listen to podcasts.
Okay, okay. So what I would say, let's back up into the place in which LinkedIn is totally overwhelming and go to that first. And I'm assuming anything. If you open Substack, you'll feel the same way. If you open Facebook, definitely. Wow. You're gonna feel that wherever, is that accurate? Wherever you're going, wherever you're hopping onto on
Yeah, yeah,
social.
Instagram is the same thing. So like I
Yeah.
never really engaged with those things. And when I was running Chris Vogel Design, my agency, my lovely wife for a couple years was taking over and doing the bare like posting and stuff like that just to kind of keep things going. But I was always very intimidated by it and always just
Mhm.
like, no, I don't want to deal with it. So yeah.
So makes sense, and you can't change that, and you shouldn't try to change that. So what I would recommend for if you're, and I'll take this advice to the extreme as well, and then we can kind of work our way into the middle for folks who are in the middle, and then I can talk a little bit about how where I'm at on the other extreme
Yeah.
of fully utilizing, all the channels because I have to. If I could wave a magic wand in my life, it would be that I never have to open up a social network again, just to put that out there.
Eh,
Oh yeah.
I don't
I
know, man. You
I
get that
love
tingle when you get those likes. No?
No, no, I'm over it.
Yeah.
It is now a utility for new business and business growth. I love meeting new people there. So that would be a huge, that would, I would miss meeting people, but I would find other ways. We have,
Yeah.
we've built an organic network of in our community already. We've lived here for a year. There's other ways. One of my greatest wishes is to be able to take all those things off my phone. So just prefacing this with that.
Okay.
I know that's surprising.
It is.
Um, so a place for you to start, where I would say, is to actually go very far offline in creating your content to the point where
Huh.
you are journaling or drawing or sketching. Like if you go um, into a quiet place and you're in a space in which you are mentally like, hey, I do want to share what I'm working on and what I'm doing. And you know that you need to do this for new business. So, yeah, I would go offline with a journal and a sketchbook and try to communicate however you are comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's say you're sitting by the river, you've got your sketch done, and it's like actually some kind of really cool illustrated amazing statement, something that you would do, and it's brilliant. You would take a photo of that and then just literally, you could email it to your list. You could have we have a list of your
Mm-hmm.
colleagues, right? With just a few short words, like this is where I'm at right now, whatever the point of that intention is. And or you can give it to, you can post it on your LinkedIn just as an image. But the point here is when you are in the state of creating the content, telling the story, get yourself as far away from the networks as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And same with, here
Can
we
you
are
explain why?
podcasting.
Like what does that do?
Well, it gets you out of your fight or flight mode when you open it.
Okay. So
So it just
lizard
gets you,
brain
it's all about
deactivation,
you.
frontal cortex. Yeah.
Yeah, just getting you into a really comfortable, safe place where you're feeling super creative.
Yeah.
And you can, and this is something that I do. Like if um, I absolutely have writer's block with LinkedIn posts. And so my best post ideas have always come when I'm on a motorcycle ride with my husband, meditate, you can't do anything. I have moments of clarity. I have fantastic post ideas. And then I form them completely, almost like write them in my head so that by the time I get to the screen, it's just a matter of plugging it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think the thing is here too, if now let's say you're in a real pinch and I've vaporized, like I'm not here anymore and you need new business. Let's go down that route for a second. I mean, you need, if you've got your new business, but if I'm not here to help promote good now, okay,
Right.
what would you do? So you would have to go on to LinkedIn. And so now let me talk about some methods that could help you there. Okay. So you you go on and the more that you are on it, the less overwhelming it will feel.
Yeah, it makes
Also,
sense.
you have to,
Exposure.
yeah, you have to though compartmentalize what you're looking at, which it sounds like you're already doing. And it takes pausing, standing up, walking away sometimes to reset. Or for me, because it is overwhelming, I'll have a to-do list that I will write down before I open it. Because I'll have,
Mm.
for example, many people I need to introduce to each other to help them like meet one another. I've got to respond to this message and I want to put this post up. And oh, I need to go like and comment on other people's posts for about 10 minutes. And I'll
Mhm.
put that down so that, because I have ADHD, super bad. And so I have to have that list in order to make it through. um, is that helpful?
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit. I think for you, mostly the creation of content and telling your story. Here's another thing, Chris. Your story is it's such a gift to other people who, let's say a young version of you who's going through the beginning of their career as just one bullseye example of somebody who would benefit from you sharing your story, from clients who need you and they haven't met you yet, and you're going to change their entire business. So it's also about I guess I'm segueing into that obnoxious fake it till you make it, LinkedIn spammy type content everywhere. We have that everywhere.
Right. I guess one of the thoughts, there's a couple things that are going through my head, right? Other than just the racing amount of anxiety that's going through my brain, as you mentioned, all the checklists of things that you do on a daily basis on LinkedIn. And so let's set that aside. But I think it's also the idea of perfectionism, the idea of being okay with doing something flawed. That
Mm,
whole concept itself, I feel like stands at the core for me and as a
mm,
massive block, right? So the idea of, oh, I'm going to put together this piece of content. Got the video frame set up and I've got the script written and I did all the thing and it's okay. I'm not very used to talking on camera, doing any of this stuff. So it is what it is. But then I can't hit the publish button
hmm.
because, and this I think has something also to do with my psychological state.
I think it's
Um,
pretty normal though. Keep going with that. I mean,
Yeah, but a
there's a
lot of
lot
it
of
is
that.
like the idea is like all of these
Hmm.
negative things that'll happen, right? Which is a catastrophication or catastrophizing, I think it's called, where it's just like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, and it's like there's never anything positive. And that has just something to do, I think, with my disposition, which is not great. But it's interesting because, like, Elena, you introduced me to a couple people to do like a couple intro calls and all that. And my expectation is always like, super negative, and then a lot of times it's like I have this delightful outcome where it's like, oh, this is
Mm.
actually really fun. Oh, I really enjoyed this. And it's, there's a lot there. Like you said, you do the same work for decades, all of a sudden you're in your 40s and you know stuff, but you don't really think you do because you've been doing it for so long and it's just the same stuff really.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's like you still see yourself as that 24-year-old graphic designer that's just designing logos, right? But really it's,
Hmm.
you've been running businesses for a long time and you've
It's
learned some
true.
stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like in a self-identity evaluation thing. For me, it goes super deep, and I'm probably like way overthinking this. So yeah.
No. So let me pause you there. So you have two things I heard. One is the perfectionism, which, um, especially in LinkedIn, which is a professional environment. All of
Right.
our colleagues are there. I'd say that's what I hear all the time from people
Hmm.
about LinkedIn content. What I find when I'm coaching my clients or executives or cohort members about LinkedIn is it is you've got to let that all go. I have to untrain their perception that LinkedIn has to be this very formal, oh, I only go on when I won an award or gotten a job promotion,
Mhm.
or I have a serious like thought leadership piece to share.
Mhm.
It is evolved incredibly past that, and so what I call it, I say it's like you're walking into a networking party. So if you're walking into a room and you don't know anybody, that's scary for a lot of people because you have to break the ice. Yeah, I'm sure you probably hate that. It's probably like your least favorite thing in the world.
Worst thing, yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
And yeah, even us extroverted people hate it. But then as soon as you start talking to someone, you're enjoying yourself, right? So anyway, that's
Yeah.
what it's like. So when you walk in there and you take that away, and the advice I give to the cohort members on this with when you're writing a LinkedIn post is number one, there is no such thing as a perfect LinkedIn post.
Mhm.
It doesn't exist. So you're going for something that you can never, ever, ever achieve. Another thing that you can never achieve, no human being ever has ever gotten every single person to like them. Um, so
Mm.
that's a really great thing to just let go as someone who has been trolled beyond belief online across my career. When I was young, when it first started happening. So if this, God forbid, happened to you tomorrow, Chris, because I know you probably like whenever it happens to you, you're instantly your inner child, and you have to like get through it. I've been through it for so long. I'm an expert at it. I don't care anymore. I'm way past I I'm with you, but the more that you do it, that goes away, is what I'm saying. So there's no perfect LinkedIn post. You're never gonna get everybody to like you. Number three, there will always be somebody who sees your post and decides that they don't appreciate it, and maybe they think a mean thought about you. Oh, that's them. That's not you. That's
Yeah,
them.
I don't even
But I
know if
know you know these
those
things
are
rationally. I know. You know it
that's the thing is
rationally.
like and it's it's not like it's filled with people who are just looking to shoot me down. And I'm not really that concerned about the trolls either. It's kind of
I think
it's
it's the icky. Is it the icky? You mentioned the band that you well first
yeah.
let
Yeah,
me
yeah, yeah,
set this
yeah.
up.
That's
So
interesting.
Chris and I were talking before the show about the show, and I said, he said, I just can't imagine like creating content or something like y- why does my story even need to be out there? And I asked you, who's your favorite band? And you said, who is it? This Icelandic
Sigur
band?
Rós, that Icelandic band, that makes up their
Okay.
own language. The
Okay.
thing is that
And
yeah,
And
go ahead.
I said, imagine if that band never promoted themselves, then you would never have heard the music.
Right.
And then you said,
Yeah, the band doesn't really do that.
they don't promote themselves.
No, they don't ever like allow any commercials to use their music. They're very selective with like the documentaries
Mhm.
that they're featured in. Like the stuff they do is like massive reluctantly. All the time they're in interviews, they talk about how much they don't want to be doing this. And I think because I'm an elder millennial and very much influenced by the whole Gen X 90s grunge era where everybody was like, screw the yuppies. We just want to work in a coffee shop and just stay true to ourselves and our art, right? And it's like that regressive. And I know that that's not the case. You pointed this out. I didn't even think of it as like, no, there's people behind the scenes who are doing all this stuff. Where these people are being successful. Radiohead isn't Radiohead without the marketing machine behind it, right? And even though if that's not obvious, but it's still that like punk rock kid in me that it has a hard time with this whole thing.
So sorry, what's the name of the Icelandic bands? What's the
Sigur
name?
Rós or
Sigaros. So
Sigur
part of
Rós.
their
I think it's Sigur Rós. Yeah, it's very good.
okay, Sigaros. Part of their brand strategy is to who they have they embrace
Cool.
that part
It's
of
even
themselves.
saying brand strategy in the same sense with
Yeah,
that band
and
just
whether
gives
they're
me the
aware of it or
shivers.
come on, whether hold on, hang with me for a minute. Whether they are aware of it or not, they are putting off that vibe of exclusivity.
Mhm.
We are very picky about who and where we spend our time with because all we care about is our music. That's part of their message that they have developed themselves and embraced, and that's their truth. And that's awesome. For us, we would be thrilled with, 3 big brand projects a quarter. That's a small audience. You can be exclusive about where you spend your time, Chris, and you should be. You should be protective of that. You should have boundaries. You should be, if you guest on a podcast, you should be really selective about where you go,
Hmm.
because that's important to you, and where you spend your time is important, and where you are represented is important to you, right? So that's
Hmm.
all part of your brand strategy and your messaging. But somebody sure as shit is out promoting those guys
Yeah.
and getting them
Yeah.
their shows and doing that work for them.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's so rational. So it's kind of bizarre. I don't know. I guess it's like everybody has a little kid in them that's just like banging against the,
Everybody does.
you
And
know.
so, like, I think about it's so common too. This is the first thing that I hear is here's some things that I commonly hear
Hmm.
about this topic, about uh taking getting your voice out there and selling and promoting yourself. One thing I hear is I can't believe I haven't been doing this. I haven't been doing it, and all of a sudden here I am and I'm 45 years old and I haven't been
The
doing it.
shame. There's
And
huge
well, no,
shame,
not
right?
shame.
No.
No, no, I think more regret, but that's interesting. I think more just maybe there's some shame. I'd hope they wouldn't feel that way. You know, that this should be the mindset to take with all this, you guys, is that your first day is today. That's
Mm.
fine. The one cool thing
That's a
about
great. That's. I just want to make a point. That's really good advice because what you just said. Oh, I've never done this before. Who am I to start now?
yeah.
Right? It's like that's not very healthy or helpful.
Well, yeah, and also if it's your first time as a creative or any individual, if you're going into LinkedIn or whatever channel right now, you are going to be yourself, have a unique perspective. The tool has changed. 15 years ago, LinkedIn was totally different. It's a
Mm.
time ripe for creativity. This is what I've always loved about online platforms is that it's a constant state of reinvention of what content works. Back in the day when I had my blog, I had a WordPress blog as a single mom, and it was so incredibly popular after time. My
Mhm.
first post I published, and the first comment was, I hope you die alone with your cats.
Aw.
I didn't have any cats. It was very confusing, but it was really horrible. Anyway, it becomes this very popular blog, and YouTube had just emerged as a
Mhm.
platform. And not just, but it was, I was noticing it and other bloggers were beginning to use it, but I didn't have a way in WordPress to communicate I had photographs I could embed, but I created a YouTube video in which I monologued and gave dating advice.
Mhm.
It's still out there. Just
Really?
find Miss Single Mama. You can find it. Anyway, I then, why I did that? I did it to embed it into my blog so my readers could see me and hear me.
Mhm.
I didn't do it to get a bunch of YouTube followers, but I did. And then, that actually helped grow the whole thing. My point is, we use the tools that we have today to create whatever we want. And we've got to be
Well,
innovative and creative with it. So
it's
if
an
you're new
interesting.
to it, it's okay.
I think one of the takeaways that I just heard, which I think is helpful for me, is the fact that LinkedIn isn't what you thought it was back in the day, which I think a lot of people, because they're not always actively on it, it's not like Instagram or YouTube or anything like that, it might not be as obvious to people that it changed. So that's nice to hear. And the other thing is
Yeah.
that I think part of it is not knowing the rules, right? It seems like I'm walking into this room and there's ways to do stuff, but you don't want to embarrass yourself by doing it the wrong way, right? And
Hmm.
that lack of prerequisite knowledge would be apparent, and there's fear there too. So how would you address
Sure.
that?
That's really common. I would say that there are no rules, and the more you can break them on LinkedIn, the better. And I understand you have to know the rules to break them, but no, it's there's no right or wrong. I have seen the most bizarre stuff on there lately. I mean, there's stuff that's not going to work. You can publish content that just will fall flat, and that will be your soulless AI written post that is incredibly boring and doesn't have any guts in it. It doesn't have any vulnerability. And that's what you need. And as brands, we need that too. As businesses, we need that. And we need our founders to be vulnerable and gutsy. That's what people respond to. Always have, always will. For
Yeah.
you, Chris, for example, if you were to go on there with a drawing or an illustration that you've done. And let's say you do this like every Monday morning, you go to a spot and you just draw it and you
Hmm.
just pull your camera out, publish it, and just put number one. And then you do number two, number three. And you don't put any words to it. Even that could be so cool.
Hmm.
You don't have to, you make it work for you. It shouldn't be. So how am I saying this? So you need to be the driver, not LinkedIn driving you on your
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
Now,
That's really good advice.
yeah, and I think let's talk a little bit about taking a stand, okay, as a brand, how to do that,
Yeah.
and a person. So politically, things are getting worse and worse every day, as we would imagine. We've got a military takeover of a city, so that's fun. Um, it's going to keep getting worse. So the way that a couple things when you've got to know why you're doing it in order to take a stand publicly. So what we're talking about here is publicly publishing a proclamation or content or alluding to the fact, or not even alluding, just saying I am anti-MAGA. In business, for your brand, how do we say that? The motivation for you should be one thing we've heard across all of our interviews this season is one consistent thing. When you tell your story, when you put a stake in the ground, you feel better.
Hmm.
You feel a huge weight lifted. Your your grandchildren will thank you. They will look back on your content that's all recorded. They're going to know where you were, what you were doing. That Mitch Jackson talked about that. I thought that was really
Hmm.
interesting. So your motivation should be this number one for you personally, just individually, and it's a huge relief. Number two, we've also found from our guests, you will attract people into your world who you want to work with, and you will open new doors that you never thought possible, like Nikki Sapiro.
Hmm.
Thank you. You know, um, and Trevor from My Cluck Hut. I mean, holy cow! The impact on their business and their lives from speaking up, it's been transformative for them. Now,
Huge.
the other thing too is you don't have to. So that's your motivation. I hope that we've given you a case and cause to be motivated to do this. The second, of course, is to save the country. So there's that, which I know you all know. Um,
There's also that aspect of creating safe spaces and places to protect others, right? To have,
yes.
which I thought was really interesting thing I learned from all these different, heroes,
Right.
as I would call them, that are out there doing this. But they sense that the customers or their partners or whoever they're working with were no longer safe in this world, so they needed to create that space to protect others, and I thought that was really great. And that's
Hmm.
something that, like, I think 4 or 5 different times we've heard that. So yeah.
Right. And so the safe place, um, saying something because silence is complicity, you guys, and a majority of us are not for this administration. That's a fact. So if you have a business and you put a little pride flag in the corner or a Black Lives Matter sign right next to the American flag, we talked about that in the flag episode and symbolism and pairing the American flag with other flags. There's
Yeah.
so many that you can hang. You can put a Canadian flag next to it for at this point. That's a good idea too. Um, but
There's
but you
also the
you
the quiet symbols that we discussed, I think,
mm,
where in situations where you can't be that overt, but you want to make sure you're creating some sort of a camaraderie with people that are like-minded but can't be that outspoken. We've had examples of hidden symbols that are only obvious for people that are involved, just
yeah,
to make them again feel like they're in part of a community.
like Nikki and the uterus necklace.
Right.
So there's quiet symbols too. But when you do that, you create a safe place for people to come into your business. And here's the thing, if we all continue to be as quiet as we are, and I'm talking about daily exchanges, and MAGA continues to be as loud as they are and just fear driven and downright scary,
Hmm.
they are going to win. So we have to wear little pins or say something. even in daily interactions within our community, which is another thing we've been hearing.
So what you're saying is no more silent symbols.
No,
Silent
you
symbols
can't.
should
I
need
don't
to be
think
loud now.
we have to. I feel like we have to. So at any chance that I can get, I went to the dentist this morning and he's like, "Would you like fluoride?" I'm like, "Of course I do." So fluoride's controversial now because of the Make America Healthy again. I mean, and so I said, "I have no problem with fluoride." Of course, like this is all craziness. And just saying that out loud instead of saying, "Yes, I would like fluoride." Like we need to
Mhm.
we need to say these things because they are saying it and they are making us scared to say it. So we need to flip that around. Like, no, you are not allowed to they are empowered to say everything that they want as loud as they want. And I'm hearing stories of people in corporate America whose CEOs have been secretly like racist dicks. They
Mhm.
are having a terrible time right now. Also, 300,000 Black women have lost their jobs since Trump took office. Just one stat. We have planes taking off, deporting people to countries that aren't even their own every single day. Like this is happening. So, yeah, if we walk around in silence, just like to maintain the status quo, this isn't the status quo. Now, so just little comments. Also, if you don't want to associate anything, I don't want to even call it political anymore. This isn't political, guys. This is like life this is our country that we're fighting for. If you don't want to do that with your business, join a community group. We talked about that with Michael Slavey and how important that is. We talked about that with Jay Carr about the psychology of joining a community group. Look at what you can control. What can you control?
Yeah.
Right?
I
So,
remember that with Jay, that talking about like spending more of your effort at things that you can do at ground level, right? Versus being all upset about what's happening at the top you don't have much influence on.
mhm.
And that's also a way to just make yourself feel a little bit better about,
Yeah. And
you know.
so let's say you work at a company and you want to say something. So turn it into a positive. So on your LinkedIn headline, you can say, I am pro planet, you know, uh, executive director of whatever slash pro planet, pro, equality, whatever. And I know that that's a signal to people that you're anti MAGA, but at least it's not hateful. It's love.
Yeah.
Um, so we need you guys to do that, and I hope that you do. I hope this episode was helpful. Is there anything that you're left wondering, Chris, that I
Well,
haven't answered?
I would just say that like I echo what you're saying. However, there's coming out a little strong here, Elena. So I'm
No, I
wondering,
know.
uh,
Yeah, I'm
we
trying. You know me.
let's take it down just one notch, just so that it's not everyone responds that well to the call
Mm,
to arms.
mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. It's difficult, right, to figure out what to do and how to do it. But it's not getting any better. It's interesting. We started this early the beginning of this year, right when the CEOs were all lined up at the inauguration, and yeah, things have gotten a lot worse as we
They
kind of
have.
predicted. And so yeah, the stance is probably going to change too that we have here. We need probably sharpen things a little bit.
Well, and the time frame is slipping in order for you to make to do
Hmm.
something overtly. We're going to have to turn into covert operations in a couple years, probably. I don't know. I don't know where this is going. I don't know where our country's going to go. But if we're going to turn into Russia, it's going to get really, really awful, right? But yeah, I know I'm coming on a little strong, but
It's
that's
okay.
okay. It, it's
Okay.
uh, it's important to have somebody in your ear encouraging you to do this. And if you guys even go into the middle a little bit, I'll be so happy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
So we
and
just need to keep talking. Like that's the groundswell idea, right? How do we get that
mhm.
groundswell going? And like we need to do a little more to get going a little more.
So, Chris, have you thought about designing a symbol for us?
Um, yeah, like an adjacent, like after the flag episode, it was
Mhm.
interesting thinking about what is a good approach. Because the upside down flag It doesn't really work
Oh, I
for
don't like
me.
yeah, I think that's a really
And
bad move, guys. Don't
I
do
think
the upside down flag
the
for the love
adjacency
of
thing was kind of where we landed, which I think is really
Mhm.
great. So so yeah, I think it's still on the list of things to do, but yeah, I think it might be in order now to get that one wrapped up.
Yeah, maybe that can be, I'd love to see something, and if anybody listening has ideas on symbols, I have a flagpole in my yard, and I really want one that's just right. So send them off to me. And yeah, and just the upside down flag is just a marketing faux. I mean, if we're looking at a brand for the movement, for the resistance, whatever we want to call it, an upside down flag is going to turn off everyone in the middle. That's why I say I understand why people are doing it because we are in distress and I'm with you. Like I'm that extreme, but I'm from a messaging standpoint, it's not going to be
And it
accepted.
doesn't.
They're going to use that against us.
Yeah, it's not.
Us.
Also, I feel like the
Yeah.
distress symbol isn't obvious, right? If it
Yeah.
was known to everyone, super clear, then it would make sense. But it doesn't say that, so it just seems like we're disrespecting the flag, which is,
Mhm.
I mean, it just is going to be misunderstood at its
Mhm.
best.
And MAGA people were upside downing the flag 2 years during the midnight. It was a couple of years before
Oh, I
Trump won
didn't.
again. I found that in
Yeah.
my research for the flag episode, but the Democrats didn't capture that and take that. Like, so we're just vulnerable right now, and everyone has to be careful about the messages that they use. Oh boy. It's all so interesting. Okay. Well, I hope that maybe you've learned something from this episode. If you have any questions that we have not answered, please let us know. Um, podcasts are very interesting to me, having been in radio where you could get a call from a listener and you just take questions. We can't really do that. Not that I'm aware of on Riverside, but I don't know how that would be possible.
Oh, just we could
Send
have
us,
people send in questions
yes,
via email, and then we can just work through that. That'd be cool.
yeah, and you can also send me a voice question. You can text me, you can message me on LinkedIn. I say text because I know a lot of my friends are listening, but you can just send your questions in. We would love to hear them. Any future guests or episodes, anything you'd like us to discuss, help us take this show where it can go. All right. And I think that's it for today, Chris.
Yeah.
Coming
Yeah.
up,
Thanks so much.
we have some exciting guests. We have a couple, we have Rand Fishkin in the kitty and
Hmm.
Beth Matthews, a designer who's just like off the charts
That's gonna
in
be fun.
Rand. I mean, just gets better and better. So we'll see you next time. Thanks
Yeah.
for
Thanks,
listening,
everybody.
everyone. Thanks for listening to Citizen Rebel. If you like this episode, subscribe to the show and share it with a friend.
To connect with us and find more content like this, visit goodisnow.com.